Hiya.
You're in.
Oh, hi.
Hello, how lovely to meet you. So Dapo hasn't joined us yet, but I'm sure he'll be here in a minute. And I think what we were saying was whoever arrived first, come in. Oh, somebody else. Let's have a look. It's quite exciting. I've not done this before. Oh, hello, Reggie. That means there'll be, we can have 4 of us on at a time, can't we? I think that's how it works. Hello.
Hiya.
Hi, it's Reggie, isn't it?
Oh.
Hi, Reggie, can you hear me? Now, who else is...
It's coming in and out. So, oh wait, here it goes.
Just wait.
Yeah.
Hi. Oh, can you hear us? Okay. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Hi, I can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Fantastic. This is the first time I've ever done a with everybody on
at
the same time.
Yeah.
It's
multiple.
I know. So I think we can have 4 on at one go, haven't we?
Thank you.
So let me just see if... Oh, there's Dapo. If I send Dapo a request, it seems to work though. So I think what we were going to do is we're going to do sort of 15-minute slots.
Hey everyone, how you guys doing? You alright?
How are you?
Hey.
I'm okay. I'm okay. Yourselves?
Okay, it works, Dapo.
Yeah.
I haven't done it before.
Yep, I've done it once myself. I did it with the crew when we launched the book a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, it's just a really great way to get this kind of conversation going.
Yeah.
But how are you guys doing? You guys, you okay? You all good?
Yeah, not bad, thank you.
Cool.
So I just, as people were popping up and saying, can I come in, I just let them in, Dapo, because of the people that I know we're talking to today. So
what we did...
We can bring them in.
Right, so what I did in the group chat just now is I just let everybody know that when you join the chat, just send a request, and then what we can do is, as we, swap people out, we can literally just bring people in, basically. It's just that easy. So, guys, if you're in the chat, just send us a request to join the chat, and as we move, we'll just accept the request when it's time. Yeah?
So I can see there's one more at the moment.
I think there's a couple more people there. There's I think I've seen Nicole, I've seen Derek, I've seen Shantae. So when you guys are ready, just send a request.
Brilliant,
and we will put you on.
Yeah, because I can see that they're on the bottom, but it won't let me see because it says only 3 guests can be in your live room. So I suppose.
Yeah. So once we swap people out, we'll be able to put them in. But as long as they've sent the request, we can just, do that as and when.
You know what you're doing. I'm glad you do. I don't know. I'm amazed it worked. Shall we start with some introductions to get us going?
Yeah, let's kick off.
Obviously, I know Dapo, but we have 2 other people on the screen. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Shall I go first?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
I'm Diane Ewing.
Hi, Dad.
Hiya. You've probably seen my name around.
Do you know what? I'm going to give you guys the introduction you deserve. Okay.
Go on, then.
So this is Diane Ewing, who is best known for her amazing picture book series with Rashmi Sarampandi, and it's Never Teach a T-Rex to Read or Give a T-Rex a book.
No. Never teach. No, never show a T-Rex a book.
There you go. Never show a T-Rex a book and never teach a Stegosaurus maths, is it?
To do sums.
To do sums. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. I was almost there. But some of you may also know her for her amazing collaboration with Dame Floella Benjamin. Name of the book.
Coming to
England. Coming to England. There we go. I am tired, by the way, but I'm trying my best to give you the introduction. Diane is one of my absolute favorite illustrators working on the UK picture book scene right now, and it's an absolute honor to have her on this book, Hey You. Next up is Reggie Brown. Amazing Reggie Brown. Brilliant illustrator. Brilliant artist all around. Like, I love the experiments that you do on your Instagram page. Reggie's also another artist whose work I'm into as well, and I'm very, very honored to have worked with you on this book and to see how you took the text that I gave you and translated it. And today we're going to find out a little bit about your experience working on this book with myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well,
Or with each other as well, like
me
not
and
just with
Dapo
you.
already to do our introductions, but my name's Kate, director of The Big Draw, and it's such a pleasure to be sharing a screen with all of you and the rest of you that will be coming on as well. Very exciting, actually. So I think we've got just over an hour to have a quick whiz through of everything. And as Dapo was saying, it would obviously be good to talk a bit more about the book and how you found that whole process. But obviously you've all very kindly, I'm just looking at my scribbles, my notes, very kindly sent some answers over for the blog piece that The Big Draw's done recently. So I had a little nosy at that as well. And it's really interesting. There's some really common things there that come out from all the answers. So it would be really nice to pick up on some of those. But I mean, it's basically, you know, what drawing, what illustration means to you. Obviously, you're very passionate about what you do. So maybe we can talk about a bit of that as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's going to go first?
Where should we start?
Well, Kate, I'm more than happy to let you steer this. So ask away. Whatever you ask, we'll answer. So let's do it that way. That's the cut and dry way to do it. We've got a limited amount of time, and I really want to hear you guys talk during that time.
Okay.
Well, I mean, Dan, if I could start with you then, if
Okay.
I may. So I just had a quick look at some of the things that you put into the blog piece just to give me a bit of a starting point. And there was a few things that that popped out at me. And there was the whole, I can't remember exactly, but the thing about the protagonist for the princess in the book, that, you know, not seeing as a, you know, not seeing those protagonists that look like you. I mean, I thought that was very powerful. And the thing you said in one answer to one of the questions on the team was, what was it about the book? What was it that was so sort of incredible for you? And you said spotlighting Black illustrators, prompting a need for inclusion and awareness, and that Black kids basically need to see themselves represented in books generally. I think, well, when me and Dapo spoke before, because we had one of these about, I don't know, a month ago or something, and I think the thing that really strikes me about the book is that it is new. I don't think it's been done before. Not in this way, you know, not with so many different illustrators and done in such a, I don't think done so beautifully, and the storytelling and everything else, but also the way it's meshed together. I mean, I know in some of the answers, and when I was talking to Dapo, how did you both find the process of basically, it's a different way of working, isn't it? Normally there's an author, and then there's the illustrators, and my understanding is that actually as illustrators you had an awful lot of freedom over what you did. Obviously there was key motifs throughout that you were able to lock into, which is, I'm sure, was very helpful. But in general, it sounds like the creative freedom was there, which I think is quite unique. But also, obviously, you had that overarching, the narration, the voice from somebody who has been on the other side of it. So they knew the sort of, they're already anticipating the way that the book would work and how it would relate to the visuals, I think. How did you find that? So, I mean, Diane, do you want to go first?
I find it really liberating, to tell you the truth, because yes, when you get a script in the general course of things, there are tips and things of how they want it to look. But Dapo, when we spoke on the phone, on the Zoom originally, he just gave us a general idea of what he wanted to see, and he said, I want you to bring whatever it is that you want to bring to this book. So in that sense, we had the freedom to think it through, think about the words, and then apply what we thought they meant. And he didn't come back and say, oh no, can you change that? Or I was thinking of this, or it was absolute freedom. We had the colour palette, and we had to put the that picture of
Sunflower.
the sunflower in there. So that was obviously, we could put it anywhere. We could put the sunflower anywhere in any part of our picture, as long as we attached it somewhere in the vicinity of our main character, which is really good. The colour palette, when I saw it first, I thought this is going to be restricted, but then it wasn't. It was sort of, you know, it was really good because it's limited. Because sometimes I need a bit of limiting on colours, so it limited me to think it through and where I was going to put the colour. But generally, I found the experience of doing that really liberating. Massive freedom.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that. If you don't mind me interjecting, the thing with the color palette as well was I wanted everybody to have this limited color palette, but then to be able to build on it or expand it in any direction that they wanted to. And all of you, every single one of you, completely surprised me with the direction that you took. I didn't have that foresight. I couldn't see where you were going to go, especially yours.
Yeah.
Yours was that predominantly green background, and it just worked. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? So like, I love that you guys just took it and went in completely different directions to the spread that I had, you know, set out in the beginning, but it's still gelled together because it is in essence the same colors.
Yes,
But yeah,
it's very true. And as you look through the book, you can see how it works. It doesn't look disjointed.
right.
You know, that
There's a
colour
flow that goes through it.
flow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if that's why, if that's partly why, because obviously Dapo's been the writer, the author on this occasion, but he's an illustrator, and I wonder if being able to have those two mindsets has been helpful, actually, without even consciously thinking about it. Just as you were writing it, Dapo, you can't help but think, oh well, that might work quite well with that, or that. There was probably that in the background.
I would love to say it was subconscious, but it really wasn't. Like, I sat down and, you know, I just thought about how I felt restricted in the past, and I didn't want, you know, the gang to go through those, to have those restrictions. Obviously, for the story to work, for it to flow, there have to be key things that we have in there that people can use to kind of navigate the book. But aside from those two things, which is the color palette and the sunflower pattern, you guys were free to approach this however you wanted to approach it. I did provide like really rough and really loose doodles on some spreads. But even then I was like, it's just a jumping off point. And if you choose to kind of jump in a completely different direction, that's all good. And everybody, absolutely everybody, surprised me with what they submitted. So
that's the nice thing, because you've got, you know, guideline, but then you expected us to just put our own stamp on it, and that's why we sort of feel, you know, this is our book as well as it is your book. Sometimes you don't feel it's your book, you know?
And because you know, because some people work better that way, some people do need that, you know, structure. So it was important to give you structure, but then also make everybody understand that you can kind of just do away with it, you know, should you want to. But we've only got a few more minutes. But Reggie, you go. I'm gonna shut my mouth.
Okay.
Reggie, can I read something out? I hope you don't mind, because it's one of the things that you wrote in your blog for the team at the Big Draw, and I'll just read it out. I thought it really sort of encapsulated everything. You wrote, Dapo had a plan, the artist followed the roadmap, and the publisher dared to move forward with the book. What I was telling you. I just thought that was so good. But I mean, just picking up on some of the things that you said, because it does cover a lot, doesn't it? I mean, you know, yes, obviously, you know, fantastic. Dapo's brought all of these people. There's the collaboration, everything else. But in terms of the publisher, because this is something that I know that Dapo and I talked about when we met last time, is not every publisher might go ahead and do something like this. So I mean, is there something there about the type of publisher, the integrity of the publisher, that collaborative approach? You know, is there something around that you wanted to say a bit more about, Reggie?
Yeah. I guess this book kind of reminds me of I don't know if it's popular in the UK. Here, it's Snowy Day by Ezra Keats.
I've got that. Yeah.
So it's like one of the first books that had like a black protagonist in it, you know. And I guess before then it wasn't really. I guess it was frowned upon. I'm not really sure, but it was like one of the first one of those like eye-opening moments of showing black kids in picture books. And I guess Hey You just shows, you know, it's just like a really, I think I've said this to Dapo, it's like a simple idea, but it's executed perfectly. And it's just, he's able to create magic with these simple ideas and just showing just black people, you know, in just everyday life, you know, just being a normal person, and what families want for their kids, and what, you know, people want for themselves. And I think, you know, you need a publisher that's going to have the courage to
Oh, Reggie's frozen.
Oh,
So it kind of reminds me of that.
oh, he's back.
Oh, sorry. Did you guys hear what I
No,
said?
We
you
lost you. We lost you when you said you need a publisher
Okay,
that has the
well,
courage, and then it just froze.
Yeah,
And the
you
other
need
thing,
a publisher to. You just need a publisher to just be able to see the idea and see that that would actually be marketable to everyone and not just a certain segment of the population. And so, you know, that's what my meaning was with what I said in that blog quote.
No, I for me, I appreciate that because you may not know that you did that, but you actually did tap into something that, you know, is important, because with this book, I've really felt supported by the publisher that I was working with. I felt supported by the team I was working with. It's a team that we brought, I think at the time, we brought 2 picture books into the world together. That was myself, Joe, and Monica. And, you know, they believed in this book. Like, they really, really believed in this book. And I'll be really honest with you, it was their belief that made it what it is, because it pushed me, if that makes any sense. Like, initially I was like, okay, I'm going to do this book, but who knows? Like, it might hit, it might not hit. Do you know what I mean? But they really believed in it. And I was like, okay, cool. Let's try this, let's try that. And every time I came up with something that I suggested, I wasn't met with any resistance. It was very much, okay, we trust you, let's roll. And it was such a seamless experience for a book of this magnitude. It really was a very, very seamless, very simple, very straightforward experience.
Yeah. And you need to get over here in the US. Everyone keeps asking me.
Oh, I'm
to
coming,
buy it.
dude. I'm coming. The book's coming out. The book's out in January in America, so I'm gonna be over there. So
Okay.
I'm gonna drop you guys a line and let you know what I'm about.
Yeah, people keep asking me where they can buy it. And stuff.
Just to pick up on drawing as well, drawing, illustration, visual thinking, all that sort of stuff. I mean, obviously, the big draw. So we work globally. We have a global presence, but obviously it's that passion for mark making, for visual thinking, communication, inspiring. And I think one of the things I picked up in your interview, Reggie, so I think you talked about, you know, the love of drawing from when you were little, and you see that passion also in your work as well. So I mean, drawing clearly is very important to both of you in your lives. Obviously, you've got a very successful book out now with Dapo, which is fantastic. Yeah. And there's questions, people are saying on the questions, when's the next one coming out, Dapo? I'm sure you don't want to.
Yeah, there you go.
I feel like we've got to let this one marinate first.
Yeah.
So once this one has had some time out and people have gotten used to it, we can kind of see how we're going to approach the next book, if there is a next book in the series.
Yeah. But really for Diane and Reggie, just you know, the power of drawing, and you know, it can be, it really is, it does have the power to change lives. We always said it did. I think it does, doesn't it? Really, because I think that the book as well, the way that you've written it, Dapo, it's deceptively simple, the story. So it's great because actually you have kept the themes really universal, and it is sort of things like, you know, what job somebody wants to be, and, you know, a love for your family. They're things that everybody can relate to, and I think that makes it accessible. And then you have the beautiful illustrations as well. So I think it's very clever the way it's been put together, actually, and it is doing well, isn't it? I mean, I mean, for Diane and for you, Reggie, do you feel it's? I mean, you're obviously very successful illustrators anyway already. Do you feel this has boosted? Has it moved you forward? Has it nudged you into a different direction? Try something new out with your art practice?
No. Reggie, you can answer that one.
No. I mean, I haven't really given it much thought. I'm always trying to push myself in my art, you know, just try different styles, just experiment. But I haven't really. I'm working on so much stuff right now. I just haven't had time to just look around. But
to be honest, I think all the illustrators that have worked on this book are extremely busy at the moment. So I think there hasn't been enough time between doing this book and something else to see if it's made any kind of difference. But one thing I do know is, you know, through talks with various publishers that I'm working with, all the publishers that have seen the book are keen to kind of give work to the illustrators that worked on the book as well, because it's like a great way to just have a collection of people together to kind of pull from for various other books that publishers might want to do. So I do know that that's coming for some of you. So hopefully, or for all of you, I hope. So hopefully that will be the legacy of this book, you know?
I mean, and that's a very tangible benefit, isn't it, that you'll be able to look to moving forward. I mean, there was one theme that came through a lot of the answers when I was looking at the blog, and it was something about personal projects and life-work balance. Quite a few of the illustrators were
there isn't a life-work balance sometimes. It's like just
it was making them think a bit more about, not necessarily because of the stress of the book, but just generally they were focusing on issues and themes that were making them think, especially what's been going on for the last year and a half with everything in the world. I think that they were sort of thinking, you know, actually, where does that balance fit between the projects that are good for me and are good for my health and well-being and are creative, balanced off against those projects, I suppose, which will bring some money into the table. So I think those were themes I could see coming to, and things that I pick up that are going on, I think, generally, that we're all talking about, I think.
There's a lot of consideration. Sorry.
Go on, Dan. Sorry.
Just saying, there's a lot of consideration when you get a project land on your desk. You've got to weigh up whether or not this project is right for you, firstly, and then you think about how it's going to affect, how it's going to be perceived in the world. And do you want your name attached to that, or could another project be better for you? So in that respect, having come to the fore, so to speak, as a Black illustrator, you have a lot more things to think about. Whereas before we got publicity or whatever, we would just take what landed on our desk because we had, to survive as illustrators. But now, there's a bit more freedom, and I think probably because we're associated with Dapo now, that will be, that will fluctuate a bit more.
Well, I'll be real with you. I hope so. And not I don't even know what to be associated with me means. I hope it means good things.
Yeah, good things.
The one thing about this, though, jumping off of what Diane said in terms of choosing smartly when you're picking work. The one thing I made sure with this project is that it was an equitable project for all the people that were involved as well. So not only is all your names always constantly front and center in any discussion that's happening, I also made sure that, things like royalties are afforded to everybody that worked on the book, which isn't always done. If it's possible, I think it should be done. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I've had contracts in the past where people have, where there's been no royalty attached for myself as an illustrator, despite my contribution to the project being the lion's share. So I didn't want to do that. Basically, this was my opportunity to do everything differently, how I think it should be done. And I think it works,
It does. It does, definitely. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've had that
definitely.
And you just feel as if you're just an illustrator for hire. And then you don't feel connected to
the project.
That project. So it's nice to be included in royalties.
Sorry to interrupt. I wanted to say to Daryl and Reggie, we've got you on the screen, because I know it's short for time today. Is I really hope that you will keep in touch with us at the Big Draw, and if you put any work on social media, the team will share it. I mean, just tag us in. That's what we know.
All right.
When we were talking to Dapo, the Big Draw wants to be sort of shining a light on the work that you're all doing. So sign up to the Big Draw. It's all free for artists this year. So basically, keep in touch, get in touch with us if you want to, and just tag us, and we will share. Share.
Okay. With that, are we tapping out now?
I think we probably have to.
Yeah, we're gonna swap you guys out.
Yeah.
Right, guys. Thank you so much for this, man. Thank you for giving us your time. Yeah.
No problem.
Catch you later.
Bye.
Hey, bye.
Wow, is it gonna work?
Yep. So you just pick.
We've got Shantae. Hi, Shantae. That's me.
So once Reggie, you got to press the X at the top of your screen to come out.
Okay.
There we go. And then we can tap someone else in.
Hello.
See you later, dude.
Oh, let me just see who else I can bring in.
So I think Derek should be
Derek.
there.
Hi, Derek.
Yeah, let's tap the in.
Oh, this is quite exciting, isn't it? Just bring lots of people in. that going to work? Yay! Hello!
Yo,
Hello!
yo.
Lovely to see you both. It's
Hello.
working. I'm so amazed it works. I'm not very good with technology. Thank you so much for joining us.
No problem, no problem.
I think we've got about 20 minutes, I think, isn't it, Dapo? That's what we've just done with the last couple.
Yeah.
20
Did
minutes.
about 20 minutes. So just to be nice and fair, we'll give you guys the same amount of time as well. Yeah. And also, it's first time we're hearing from Derek. So welcome, bro. Welcome.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Hi, Derek.
Thank you.
So either you can introduce yourselves, or if you prefer, Dapo can introduce you.
I want a Dapo introduction.
Oh Lord, yo, oh my God. Okay, so this is crazy. This is actually crazy because I didn't bargain for Derek and Shantae to be on at the same time. Shantae Timothy is an absolutely brilliant illustrator and character designer. Also one of my actual favorites, again, working in the UK industry as well. Her work is super vibrant, just super bright. Just look out for her books because they're coming. Like, Derek, oh my God. Like, I don't even know where to start, man. The fact that Derek is a part of this book, like, I'm a super fan of Derek's work. Let me just put it that way. I'm a super fan of Derek's work. And the fact that Derek's a part of this book, I'm super honored. Derek is not only one of the dopest character designers that I've seen come up in a long time, he's also a brilliant comic artist and a brilliant illustrator just overall. I love the characters Derek comes with. They have this really fresh and original feel to them while still kind of looking quite classic, which is an amazing achievement to be able to get together. I'm trying to be like you, bro. I'm trying to be like you. I'm trying to be like you, bro. And also, Derek is actually the illustrator that's picked up from where I've left off on the last day of summer series as well. So if you guys, if you're familiar with that book series, try and pick this next book up, man. Trust me, the book is amazing. And what Derek, I gave Derek the baton and he ran to Mars with it and back. Like, it's absolutely crazy what Derek has done with this book. So yeah, that's the intro, man. Follow these guys on Instagram, please. Follow them.
The big was already following them all, and on Twitter as well now. No, as soon as
I appreciate it, man.
Thanks.
And I feel the same about y'all, so don't even, exactly the same. Dapo, you're the golden child right now. You're touching everything and you're crushing it all. So give some of that praise to yourself, man.
I pat myself on the back every morning with cocoa butter.
I've never spoken to you either. I love your stuff.
Yes, lovely to meet you.
Yes.
If you don't see that, I like everything you do. So.
Well, same.
Sorry, Derek, have you not been on the Zoom with everybody? Because there's a few comments all going, it's Derek!
I've arrived.
Extra.
I've been, I just moved recently, and we've been, all over the place. When I started working on the book, I was in Virginia, which is where I'm from, and then we moved to Maryland, right after that, and now I'm in Georgia at my in-laws' house. So I've just been all over the place. So I haven't really been participating in as much stuff.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Then? What time is it with you at the moment?
It's when it started, it was 1:30.
Right?
So it's it's about 2:00 now.
No, well, thank you to you both for joining us.
Yeah,
and introductions as well. For you, lovely. Do you want to do it, or do you want Dapo to introduce you?
I introduced Shantae already.
He did it briefly. It's because Derek is such a big person.
Whatever, man. I gave you both equal light, man. I shone a light on you both.
We've both been introduced, but Dapo did say that I've got a few books coming out, so watch your space, guys. That's it.
One of the things that you said, Derek, and again, if I can pull it out, because again, I just thought that's so nice. You said in the blog, it's a genuine love letter to ourselves and you. And I thought that was so lovely.
Yeah.
And I thought if we could start with that. I think that touches all sorts of things that the book is trying to cover in terms of empowerment, representation, community, family, intergenerations, handing down, all the baton, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I think whenever anybody asks me specifically what it's about, that's kind of the most succinct way I can say it. And that's what I feel like it really was. I guess when Dapo first told me about it, it was like, you know, it was a letter to like, if I had a child, or, you know, if you do already have a child. And that's kind of what I viewed it as once I read the text too. So I just think that's maybe the beautifulest way that I could say it or describe what he put together, and then we tried to interpret, is just that this is basically what I would say to any child, really, but, you know, specifically, like, if I had a child, you know, on the way, like, I would want, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, maybe sometimes it's easier to write down what all that you have to say rather than, you know, being able to say it out loud. And I think that's what the book comes off as, is if you like sat down right before, you know, it was time, and you just wrote out everything that you were feeling and what you know, want to say to this little person that you're about to bring to the world and have to, you know, take care of and be responsible for. And you want them to do their best and be their best and know that they can be all of those things. So yeah, that's where that answer came from, was just, that's how I view, you know, the book as a whole.
Yeah.
Well, that's
a staple. It's gonna have to be a staple in like baby showers and stuff, because I think everyone should have
Yeah.
quite
Yeah.
honestly.
so we're gonna put Shantae on the marketing team next, because, you know,
Okay.
that needs to be, we need to put that loud out there so people can know. But no, in response to what Derek just said, I mean, that was very much the intention. You know, I've said this many times before in other interviews. The book did start out as this letter to like I went full 2-pack on people, and I was trying to write a letter to my unborn child, but along the way, it became a bit more than that. It became a letter to my younger self as well, because I kind of thought to myself, you know, what did I want to hear as a kid? And this was it, you know, stuff like this is what I wanted to hear as a kid. I wanted to kind of have a sense of self at an earlier age than I did. I didn't develop my sense of self that I have now until I was like 25. And that's probably why I'm so very precious with my sense of self. But if I, you know, I think it would have been, for me, it would have been beneficial to have developed that at a younger age, to be able to kind of be confident and understand what my ability is and what I can do. Do you know what I mean? I think I would have made some different decisions. I mean, I don't regret the decisions I made because I ended up here, but, you know.
Yeah. Shantae,
I think that's...
so, I was going to ask, because obviously Dapo's just mentioned, obviously you're a marketing whiz, so obviously we'd love you to work at the big store, but no. I mean, one of the things that I had on my list, again, it seems to be sort of a theme I picked up, not only from the conversation that me and Dapo had before, but I think just talking to illustrators really generally, is there's almost a bit of a fear of self-promotion, and not even they can't do it, or they don't know how, they know how to do it, they know the ropes, they know they're supposed to do this on, you know, it's not that, it's more a case of like, oh, well, I don't want to be seen to be pushy, I don't want to seem to be this, I don't want to, and it's a bit like, well, some of the comments that came from there was 3 artists that said it in different ways, but this idea of not being afraid of self-promotion, because on Big Draw, we work cross-sector with all sorts of artists from different disciplines, and I see a lot where you have the most amazingly talented people, incredibly talented people, but you know what, if no one knows about it, about the work that they're doing,
It's true.
you know what's the point? And they, you know, unfortunately now, not everybody, you know, not everyone's rich, everyone can just like, you know, get parents to foot the bill, or they can bring in a team to do it all for them. You have to be a bit clued up yourself, so the business side of things is important as well. So maybe you can think a bit about that.
I might be underqualified for that, because I don't post that much.
It doesn't
I don't post that much, but I'm aware that you get a lot from speaking and being yourself online, and when you sort of build up that audience, you can show like the stuff that you're good at and like the stuff that you want to do, and you can build from that as an artist. Someone's just said that, yeah, we are the shyest people. I can't remember who said it, it just went past.
Dion said it.
We are the shyest people, and it's not, I don't think for me personally it's about being like, oh, I don't want people to think I'm this. It's also finding time to make content, because social media is a job in itself. To cope and do things as well, but it also can be an excuse not to post anything ever.
So
I'm not
Yeah, I mean, Shantae and I had a conversation about something like this earlier today as well. So just coming off the back of the question that you've asked, one of the things about this project, you know, and this is a direct answer to Dion's comment about everyone, illustrators are the shyest people except for Dapo. I am what is known as an extroverted introvert. I'm a very introverted person, but people don't seem to get that because of how loud I can be sometimes. But you know, ask my close friends, they'll tell you I can be very quiet when I'm ready. But one of the things for this particular project, when we talked about promo, a few things that I made sure of was to have situations like this. So like if I'm doing interviews, I wanted at least one, if not as many as possible, of the other illustrators to be present. But I also understood that IG Live is not for everybody. Tweeting regularly is not for everybody. So one of the things that I did was set up a group chat for us to be able to kind of communicate. And what I do in the group chat is I'm happy to carry the promo load. I just might need one or two things from you guys, if that makes any sense. So like, that's my thing, because I knew that not everybody's going to have the time and not everybody's going to have the, for one of a better expression, the vim to kind of be put in, you know, to kind of be relentlessly promoting the book. But that's just how I know how to do things. Before coming into publishing, I worked, I was freelancing as an illustrator for myself. So I had to be my own cheerleader, my own PR team, my own everything. And that just literally carries across into the way that I approach everything, you know, from the lookup campaign to this campaign. It's the same approach that I have, and it just works. And also in general, you know, when it's not book stuff that I'm talking about on Twitter as well, there are several things within the industry that irk me deeply. And I'm very vocal about those things because I just want them to change. I want a better playing field for everybody that's trying to come into this industry, you know? But yeah.
One of the things I know that we talked about when we last spoke, Dapo, that really stays with me a lot, and I think about it a lot, is this idea of, you know, there's some fantastic organisations out there already for illustrators, sort of various membership organisations, but this idea of bringing almost a unified level fee, you know, so if there's a job that's out there doing the rounds, that they don't try and undercut the illustrators, so that, you know, basically, you know, they take the piss and say, well, can you do it for like 50 quid or whatever? When, you know, and if everyone sort of stuck together and there was always like I don't know, sort of a union or a benchmark or something that was law, so that you weren't allowed to go under
Below a certain fee.
Also, yeah, and also that none of that undercutting behind illustrators' backs, like, well, they're not going to do it, because there's always that fear then that, oh, well, if I don't do it for that price, X, Y, and Z might. And
one of, yeah. So, you know, for me, one of the ways I think that can work is if illustrators talk to each other about this kind of thing more. Yeah. You know, one of the things that happened by default in the group was some of the illustrators started bringing things that they were coming across into the group and asking other people's opinions. And I didn't even plan for that. That was amazing. I loved that. When I saw that happening, I loved that. And, you know, I'm very open about pricing, money, all that stuff. But I wish more people would be as well, because then that would mean that because we talk to each other, it's harder for publishers to come in and offer us less than, you know.
I think it's really interesting. I think it's something that I'd love to see it happen a lot more across the industry, the wider industry, creative, cultural industries, arts sector, because you see it not just in this, but I see it with artists, visual artists and makers and all across the board. And it stinks, really. But artists just massively underpaid and undervalued. But so I mean, getting back on track, so I don't get on a big ranty rant. So really going back, so thinking about the WhatsApp group, it sounded, Dapo, from what you were saying, that it sort of organically became something more than just in a basic, this is X, Y, and Z to share. Did to really point to going back to you both, Shantae? How did you find that WhatsApp group, both of you? So
it's the Instagram what's it called, group, but it's quite freeing to be able to just talk to as many people as possible about whatever's going wrong, or if you need something. We haven't of late, but it is definitely something that you could be like, oh guys, what do you think about this? And then everyone will mention it at some point in the chat if they're not as busy as everyone seems to be right now. But I think it's like, it's nice to have a community.
Most, you know, you can just get a quick, whoever's not busy can.
Yeah, it's a community of such, and I I wish there was more spaces for that, especially when you're a new illustrator or new artist. I think that's where we struggle the most. Whereas, because in the beginning, when I left university, I was like, I don't know, I'll take any job for whatever price. And then you do ask other people, and they are a bit cagey with it. And I don't think that's improving now, but it's one of those things. I think joining as many, like, I mean, if we weren't in COVID, I would say you can go to like art fairs and make friends that way and build a community that way and have more people to talk to who are more experienced. But yeah, it was great to have a community. I'm sorry if I went too far in that.
It sounds. I genuinely get the sense that the group chat was something that became very valuable to quite a lot of the illustrators in that group. It doesn't sound like it was planned, but that's obviously what happened. No.
No, community was like super important. I think the nature of the book like called for community, and then I think it made it better by, even if you didn't like chime in ever in the group chat, it just knowing that it's there in general is just like is a real big help along the way. And like, I know before COVID, you know, we used to all kind of link up at comic conventions and stuff like that. Obviously I didn't meet anybody in the UK, but like, it just depends. Like, people travel for those things all the time. So like, you would come in contact with people from all over the country and sometimes from overseas. And that was a moment to really meet the people that you spend all this time online with, which is another space where like we do connect, but it is different when you meet people in person. So
yeah,
I think throughout this time, like just being able to connect and try to give information and be helpful to one another was like super important. Like Dapo can tell you, I definitely hit him up about prices for things and just making sure that I was, you know, not cheated, but like making sure that I was asking for the right thing. Like when we did what he told you earlier, that I took over the last summer series, I ended up doing like the cover for the book now too. And originally I wasn't supposed to do that. And so I didn't know how much he was getting paid. I didn't know how much necessarily I was getting paid, I don't think. So we just spoke about it. And I try to be that open with anybody that reaches out to me as well. And just like sharing information is a huge thing. And I think it just makes the community stronger as a whole so that everybody gets treated fairly and just can, you know, have the same opportunity. So
yeah.
And can live off their art, you know, instead of getting out the cut.
Yeah, literally that.
Well, that's the thing, you know, it's creative, but it's also a business. It's a job. Yeah, it's a proper job. I mean, Shantae, I've written down more books coming soon. Is it a secret, or are you allowed to tell us all?
I can tell you about the ones that have been announced. But there is, I'm part of the anthology Happy Here. Obviously this one as well. And there's a book that's coming out 8th of July called My Big Mouth. Thanks.
Cool.
I hope you will tag us at the big draw and let us know so that we can share it for you.
Cool, will do.
And Derek, what's on the cards for you?
Oh, I don't even know. Everything is coming out in the fall.
At the moment. Yeah.
There's the book Dapo and I were talking about earlier. It's called The Last Chance for Logan County. So that's the conclusion of that series of books that will be out in the fall. And then I have there's a book I work for on I don't know if you're familiar with the digital app called Epic. But it's like basically a digital library for books and children's books and comic books and all kinds of things. And so the book that I've been working on for them is called Bright Family, and a trade of that book series will be coming out also in the fall, I believe in September. So it's going to collect.
So badly. I want that so badly. It's so good. Yeah.
Yeah, it collects all 5 issues of that book series, and I'm working on more of it now. Started issue 6 a couple of months ago. And I think that's it. Oh no, there's an anthology coming out.
I think that's it.
There's like there's a little comic I did inside this anthology called Allies for DK that is just about being allies and we're trying to be better allies across the board for everyone. And I think that's it, like publication wise. I have like some animation stuff that I was helping with that I can't really speak about, but like that stuff's coming too.
Well, I'm just obviously saying it to everyone, but please do keep in touch with us at the big draw.
Absolutely.
We can share and everything. I don't know how we're doing for time, Jack, but I feel like we're probably due a
Yeah,
swap.
we can jump in the next people. We can tag them in.
Cool.
Right, guys, thank you so much, man. Thank you for joining us, man. Right,
you.
guys.
It's so lovely to meet you all, both on screen.
Yes, same. Thank you.
Bye.
Easy.
Y'all take care.
It's like speed dating, wasn't it?
Yeah. All right. So, Oyinye is in this chat somewhere.
Right.
You should be able to send her a request to join us, right?
Got it.
So, like, you got it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ah, there she is. There she is. And there should be a couple more. Is there anyone else in there?
Let's have a look. There's Nicole.
Yep,
Hi,
Nicole. Jump Nicole in. I love how you guys have this bookshelf thing going on in the background with the book in there. I don't have that. I feel shame. I should probably just like stick it on my shoulder or something.
We've all had it so far, apart from you.
Yeah, I feel shame. It's all right.
Hello, ladies.
Hey, Nicole.
How are you?
Hiya.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Are you both wearing yellow as well?
Yeah, fashionable.
Oh, you're on theme. I feel shame. I'm not on theme at all.
Yeah. Well, there was a question actually about the sunflower. Somebody said, "What was the?" Because I remember we spoke about that, and I was saying, obviously, it's like rebirth and regeneration and health. And you were like, well, yeah, it could be that.
No, but okay. So symbolically, that's what sunflowers embody. That's that's what it's all about. Like rebirth, fresh starts, springtime, and all this lovely, wonderful symbology. I, however, just really like sunflowers. I like the fact that they can grow freakishly big and they're like yellow. I just love sunflowers. I think they're bright. They make me smile instantly. And I just literally put the pattern on the baby and it stuck. And I was like, okay, that's the pattern we're going to use. And then after the fact, Joe, who's the editor, asked me why sunflowers. And I was like, because I like them. And then he was like, well, he sent me this Google link to all this symbology. And I was like, oh my God, we're just going to act like we meant to do that. And we just ran with it.
Deliberately,
Nope, it wasn't on purpose. We're just going to act like we meant to do that. And we're just going to run with it. And then, also it was a great thing because we were looking for something to link all the pages together, all the spreads together. And, once we came up with this pattern, initially we were going to do like an African print, but then I just thought to myself, well, an African print kind of brings it to one side of the Black diaspora, which is the African side. What about the others? So, a sunflower print just made sense. Like, yeah. And that's it. That's the sunflower story.
So I couldn't see Nicole on the call, and the Pat was asking that. So
Nicola was asking, yeah. So that's the sunflower story.
That's the sunflowers. So how do you want to do introductions? Do you want to do it yourself, or would you like to have the?
I think I'm gonna let you guys do it because I'm gonna cock it up otherwise. I'm so tired right now. I'm gonna say something silly, so I'm gonna let you guys do the intros. But before we do the intros, I love both of your work for various reasons. I love the bright shapes and patterns that we get from Oyinye's work, and I love the character design and the style of Nicole's work, and that's why I wanted you both on this project. So without further ado, would you like to introduce yourselves?
Do I? God. I'm Nicole, and I am from the Bahamas, but I've been living in the UK now for a while.
The way you said that. A while.
Ups and downs.
I'm over it.
Excited to be over this.
But I've kind of just recently, I guess, got more into publishing specifically. Previously, I was doing mostly editorial stuff, and also I've only just gone full-time freelance at the beginning of last year, January 2020, which was a wild year to go full-time freelance. But yeah, it's been pretty good so far. It's been pretty fun.
Hello, I'm Oyinye. I'm Nigerian, but I was born in Italy, grew up in Italy. So I have a bit of a different background as a Afro-European. In terms of illustration, I started doing illustration maybe around 8 years ago, but I have been tandem full-time teaching as well. So I'm a design technology teacher. And also throughout my experience working on Hey You, I was pregnant with my first child, which was very interesting.
Yay! Oh, wow!
You know, like perspective whilst I was working on this. So that was a really good experience as well. So,
Oh,
yeah.
how old's the baby?
yeah.
How old's the little one?
Sorry?
How old's the baby?
Oh, he's gonna be 2 months on Saturday.
Oh, congratulations!
Thank you.
Hey. Sunflower baby.
Yes, exactly.
So I just by coincidence, Dapo, we've got the two teachers, not just teachers, but lecturers, senior teachers, heading up whole departments on the call. So very interesting. I hope you don't mind. I both had a little poke around LinkedIn earlier. So really interesting that you're running a whole, obviously, teacher's practice alongside your arts practice as well. I mean, Nicola, should we start with you? Do you want to say a few bits? One of the couple of things that I just pulled out from your some of the snippets that you gave to the team. So the one bit that I liked was there was a little bit you were saying around really you were saying that you find the concept of the book really inspiring, and where Dapo brought all these people together on a collaboration, and then you'd put in brackets, you know, really pushing back against that false notion of, oh, well, it's hard to find Black artists, isn't it? When obviously you've got a whole book full of amazing illustrators from across the diaspora. So, and I loved your comment about exquisite corpses, you know, the foldy over paper, again, the drawings. I thought that was lovely. So do you want to start and say a little bit about yourself and your response to the book, and, you know, what you're doing at the moment? And maybe being a lecturer as well. I mean, that's really interesting.
Well, I'm a guest lecturer, so it's like mostly drop-in sessions and things like that, which I haven't really been able to do because of COVID. But yeah, I guess, like, for me, one of the huge things about this was the collaborative aspect of it. And I think while obviously, like, no one book can completely break down this idea of, like, monoliths of minorities or anything like that, but I think this book and this approach really starts to get at something with that, and especially since it's not all people from the same place. So it's, you know, like, there are elements of the book that I definitely relate to quite strongly, and I feel like, for example, me having grown up in the Bahamas, that's a majority Black country, and so I feel like my spread that I was working on, with it being about this person's life at the stage of university, is super relatable to me, because when I was growing up, it's not that I was the only Black kid in my school and having to grapple with that. It was more like this jarring difference between my, like, childhood and my school time there, and then suddenly being thrust into this kind of different culture with a different makeup of people and stuff, and so that was quite relatable. And then seeing other people's approaches to their spreads, I think, was interesting, not just stylistically, but just I guess, like, it made me wonder how everyone was relating to the actual content of their spread as well. And I think it's been mentioned earlier as well how universal the story itself is, but I think that the way that each person kind of approached the spreads puts that personal spin on it as well. And it kind of taps into that thing. I probably should know what the quote is from, but that thing about like finding the unique, like, individual perspective in the universal, that kind of thing. So there are a lot of those kinds of elements of the structure that really drew me to this project, on top of the fact of, like, what it was saying at the most basic level as well.
Yeah. One thing I don't think I've asked Dapo either is, how did you all get involved initially? What was the process, Dapo?
I literally just made a list of people whose work I like, and I just reached out to, I put the list to the team that I work with first, and, you know, they added a few more people that they thought would be good as well. And we ended up with 18 illustrators, but the list we had was like 25 or 26 people.
Wow.
And, you know, luckily, to be honest, luckily for me, the majority of the illustrators that we approached first time out said yes. Like I'd say about 16 of the illustrators we approached first time out said yes. And that just, you know, and then we had a full roster at one point, and I think 2 people dropped off. So then we had to pull from the remainder of the list that we had to fill those slots. So yeah, it was so simple. Honestly, this is such a wild thing, because this book, the whole experience of this book was so much more straightforward than it had any right to be for the type of book that we were trying to do. So I'm grateful for that all the time. Like, it could have been all kinds of chaotic, but it really wasn't. It was such a smooth process.
Yeah. Yeah, as you say, yeah. I mean, I was thinking, gosh, was it like a call out? How I was thinking, oh God, that would have been a nightmare to manage. But oh no, obviously it was a lot more.
I think I DM'd some people before they got officially asked as well. I can't remember if I DM'd you, Nicole, but I think I DM'd a couple of people before they actually got approached by the publisher as well, to just say, look, this is something I'm doing. Look out for it, kind of thing. If you're interested, let me know. But yeah.
Yeah. And if I could also bring you in now. Now, I might need some help on the pronunciation. So can I have a go? Please forgive. Right.
Yeah.
Neninye? No.
Onyinye.
Sorry.
Onyinye.
Onyinye.
Fantastic.
There we go.
I'm going to write it down. Sorry. Onyinye, because it's so rude not to be able to say it. There we are. I'm so sorry. I actually Googled it. I couldn't find it.
It's okay.
Many apologies. Onyinye. So, could I please bring you in? Because again, incredibly, you've got everything, haven't you, going on here? Experienced teacher, obviously a fantastic illustrator. I was aware of your work before. Dapo, obviously, I've been talking to Dapo. Did you do some work with Parliamentary?
Yeah, I worked with them on the Black History Month.
Yeah, I think that's how I found out about it.
Yeah, so we did some illustrations for Black British figures for primary school. So that was
yes, that's right. Really interesting. Yeah, because I don't know, was it that whole big hall you could put things along? One of my trusted, Rachel Gadsden, I think she come across you. Anyway, but yeah, no. So again, some of the things, just pulling out some of the bits and bobs that you were talking about. Again, really interesting. The background, obviously, you did your MA in fascinating culture, diaspora, ethnicity. But in terms of, you talked about some of the things that you loved doing about the book and what was inspirational for you, were that it gave you the opportunity to talk about some of those role models that were out there across different disciplines, you know, so politics, the arts, the creative industries, literature, etc. And then you also talked a little bit about what everybody else has been saying, really, this collaboration, this sense of community and coming together, and the way of that the way of the pieces, the jigsaw coming together, but having the overarching narrative that did give you, I think your words were, create the best version of your work, which I thought was lovely. So it was saying you had something to respond to. So it's lots of different variety of perspectives, but this is my version of that. So, which is sort of what we were saying in the last little group chat. But maybe I could bring you in just to talk a bit about something about those role models, because all those role models are out there. It's just shining a light and just, isn't it, on them? So this is brilliant for that.
Yeah, I think
I know that's what your work was doing with the parliamentary work. So it'd be good to hear a bit more about that.
Yeah, I think that's probably I don't know. You can let me know if I'm wrong, Dapo, but I feel like that might be one of the reasons why you chose for me to do that specific spread.
I love the way that Onyinye draws real people, if that makes any sense. When I say real people, like most of us, we make up characters and stuff, and yes, we can do caricatures of existing people, but I love how she draws existing people. Like, I love her take on those people, and I just, like, I had an idea for that spread. That's one of the spreads that I did, like a little doodle to kind of show the idea, and the idea was playing to what I believe to be Onyinye's strengths. So, you know, that was why I chose that spread for you. And I think we hit out of the ballpark. That's by far one of my absolute favorite spreads. I have many, but that's one of my favorite spreads because it landed perfectly.
Yeah, I think for me, you know, when I started kind of showing my work online, or when my work started kind of having traction online was when I started on my Queens of Africa. And that was about representation and having those role models. So role models are very important for me because different from Nicole, I grew up as the only Black girl in the school, in the city, in the town, you know, in Italy in the 90s. There wasn't anyone there. So having these little names that I, you know, oh, this person is Black and they did this, and this person is Black and they did that, you know, was very important. And I think it's still something that we need. Specifically, you know, I think the good thing about this project is bringing us together from different experiences. I can see someone who is in this situation right now, a child who is in the situation right now where they are the only one, and actually they don't know who to look up to. You know, I had a lot of friends that actually, on top of the fact that we were growing up in Italy, they didn't have Black people around them at all, like even family wise, you know, maybe they were adopted and stuff, and they didn't know who to look up to. And so it's important to actually expose children to who has done what they might want to do or who has done great things, you know. And I think Dapo's words, you know, woken on the shoulders of that was, yeah, Dapo, you did a good one there. That was really good. So I was really honored to work on that spread. It's you know, and it made me really reflect as well, you know, with having a child as well. Who do I want him to look up to, and, you know, to think about in the future? Who, of course, I want to think about me, but you know, there are people that have done amazing things, and I think it's really important to celebrate them.
Well, I mean, you look incredibly fresh, I have to say, for mother who's got a 2-month-old baby.
The sun, it's the sun.
Oh, honestly, I wouldn't have. Well, I think I probably blotted it out. Mine are 10 and 11 now, and the thought of going on one of these calls with Alice at 2 months. Oh my goodness, no way. One of the things that you said, Anya, you wrote. So you said, because I think that one of the questions in the blog was asking the different illustrators, the artists. It perhaps made you think about other things, or maybe push work in a slightly different direction. And one of the things that you said, and it's a very joyful book, isn't it? You said you wanted to think more about in personal work and promoting self-care and joy throughout. And obviously, as a relatively new mother, there's something there, isn't there, about the self-care and the joyfulness and thinking about the little one. It's an interesting, because I've noticed this coming across a lot of the conversations that came through the blog piece, is this idea of this sort of really getting the balance. It's that work-life balance thing again. I think that we're all struggling so much with. I don't know whether it's because we've all just really noticed how ridiculously unbalanced it is, because we've all been on lockdown and it's just in our faces the whole time because we're all on Zoom all the time, or whether it's something else that's going on out there. But it's out there, it's in the ether. People are all yearning for something different, something that's more balanced. And I think when you have a little one, you think about these things a lot more, don't you? I know I did. I decided I wanted to be a lawyer after I bought and I jacked everything in for about a year, and I thought, no, that's just not going to happen.
No,
yeah, all those things that go around your head. But this idea of self-care, I wondered if you both wanted to say a bit about that and how that links to being creative and drawing and being able to express yourselves.
I think what I learned from this period is the fact that maybe I don't do self-care enough, and that's kind of what I want to, you know, when I was reading, you know, Dapo's words, I was like, actually, I need to apply some of this to my own life, even if I'm not a child. You know, I need to be more joyful. I do need to...
Joy, that's it, isn't it? Being more joyful in what we do.
And let go a little bit, you know. And for me, obviously, I was working full-time as a teacher for the past 8 years.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that, you know, 2021, or no, actually 2021 was my last academic year, and I can, you know, move forward as a full-time illustrator and focus on this, because this is what brings me joy. And also, I think doing everything at the same time, as much as I can do it, it did bring a lot of stress, and it didn't allow me to be the happy person that I know I can be. So I think like there was a lot of reflection as I was working on this as well. So yeah, I'm just grateful that you wrote this, Dapo, because it's kind of, it's, you know, it's obviously it's a picture book for children, but actually it's for adults as well. I think there's a lot that we can learn from it as well when we apply it to our lives.
that's been a fascinating side byproduct, if you will, of this particular book. I'll be really honest. People ask me, what age is this group? What age group is this book? I wrote this book for all age groups. I wrote it so that it can be read from parent to child, from older sibling to younger sibling, and any adults that kind of find that the words resonate and the imagery resonates can also read it for themselves as well. And, you know, I've had friends of mine, random people who've bought it and been like, okay, look, I bought this for my kid, but I'm reading this. Do you know what I mean? So it's a great thing to see that it connects on that level, you know?
I think it's the sort of book that you keep until you're out. You know, when
Bloody hope so.
we're talking at that last time we spoke, we talked about loads of things, but we talked a bit about, you know, when you're little, the book covers that you remember and how important the illustrators are, and why aren't illustrators getting, say, the credit and the parity, all that, and just that power of the visual on the front cover. And I have a selection of books that I've kept from my childhood and my early teens, and because of the illustration. I still like the stories, but I don't really remember the stories. I remember the visuals. I remember the front cover. It's the power of the visual, isn't it? And it's and there's lots of them that I haven't kept, but there's a handful of really sort of precious ones that I keep and I go back to, and I suspect this will be one of those types of books that people...
You know, I hope so. I hope so. And in touching on the strength of the cover, I have all the illustrators that worked on the interiors to thank for that, because honestly, I'm, you know, like everyone else, I'm juggling multiple things, and I was really tired at the time. And I remembered kind of getting the first look at the color draft of the book and just seeing that everybody was bringing their A game. And it really forced me to go back to the drawing board and, you know, come stronger than that. And that's how that cover was born. I've told this story a couple of times, but that's how that cover was born. And this was the joy of this project for me. You know, working with so many talented people forced me to dig deeper and come stronger. And it was just amazing. And I think that kind of, you know, Shantae touched on something earlier that happens once you've left an educational environment. You know, you're kind of on your own. It's harder to kind of push yourself to become a better illustrator, if that makes any sense. But this was the first time since literally being self-employed or coming out freelancing or whatever that I've had that environment again in a form, you know. And for me, it allowed me to dig deep, and it produced one of the best images that I've ever drawn in my life. So yeah, thanks.
I think that's right. You're absolutely right. We hear this all the time at the big draw from graduates. It's that sense of, you know, they are, for the 3 or 4 years, whatever it is that they're doing, they go through the process, and, you know, maybe it's not all great, all aspects of it, but there is a community there. And obviously I know it's been very different on lockdown year, but there is still a community, and, you know, there is structures of support there. There's the lecturers, there's your friends that you have. So I know it's been different recently, but then you come to the end of that, and then you sort of graduate. And I think a lot of them, we hear that, I think they think they're going to go out there and they're going to suddenly, you know, grab some amazing job, or they're going to just suddenly do an MA and just walk in. And of course the reality is so fierce, and it's so competitive, and it's so tough for them. And you just drop off the edge. Suddenly all those support systems that were there are gone. You know, the friends disperse, people go their own way, people go and live back home again. And you're sort of on your own, and it's a bit like, okay, and even
if you do get a job, and you are working as an illustrator, the nature of writing or illustrating, it's a very lonely endeavor. Like, you are on your own a lot of the time. So again, this project, I think for me, for this particular project, it changed that for just this one project. And it was great to have, you know, a team of people to work with in that thing. And I'm hoping that this goes on to foster community, you know, and we can build on it, you know.
It sounds like it already has, Dapo, to be honest, from what everyone's saying on the call today. I suspect that there will be all sorts of collaborations between the people that you've done the book with, and all sorts of things that happen that come off that. You know, if you were to sort of do a map in 5 years' time and put the book here and then track what people were doing, I think it'd be really interesting to see what happens with collaborative
yeah, I mean,
projects
we collaboration is all well and good, but just staying in touch to kind of know that you're not alone, which again is a big message in the book that we have. Just know that you're not alone in this field that you find yourself in, you know. So that's good enough for me.
Well, I mean, I have to say, just talking to all of you, and I know we need to cut out to the next group. It's sort of tough at the big draw. It's a tough job at the big draw, and it's so inspiring to talk to all of you and uplifting to hear all of what you're up to, and you know that helps me too. So it really is lovely to be on sharing. I'm privileged to be on the screen with you all. You know. So who have we got next? Do we need to?
All right. So, guys, thank you so much for joining us.
Again,
Absolute pleasure. I'm glad you could make it. I'm so glad because I know everyone's busy. So thank you so much for your time. If you tap out, we're going to tap the next couple people in.
Dappy, just before they tap out,
oh, good.
Please follow, keep in touch with the big draw. We'll share your work. You've got to just tell us.
And also, the people that are people that are listening, please follow these guys. They're amazingly talented illustrators. Follow them, show them some love, buy their books. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Please keep in touch with us, both of you. Please do.
Yeah, we will be tagging and so on.
Good.
Cool. All right, take care, guys. Bye.
Thank you. So,
right. I think we might have Cherie. I saw Cherie there. I'm not sure if Cherie is called to join us.
Let me see. So who have we got? We've got Cherie. Oh. No, I've got a request which is Kuldeep Sang.
Nope, that's not one of the illustrators from the book.
Okay, sorry, Kuldeep. I'm not seeing.
Cherie is coily and cute. So, coily and cute is Cherie's profile name. So, if she's up for joining us.
Let me just go through the list up. Do you know how you spell it?
So, coily is C-O-I-L-Y.
Yeah.
And cute is the full. It's all one word. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah.
So, Cherie's up for joining us.
Let's have a look. Coily. And cute. Yeah. Hopefully that works.
Yeah.
Oh, Coily's just said she's just listening.
Oh, okay. No worries.
Yeah.
No worries. All right. Well, I think that's everybody, to be honest. There's nobody else left.
Have we not missed somebody?
No, I don't think we have.
We've done Nicole. We've done Shante. Camilla.
Oh, well, Camilla's not here, so I'm guessing she hasn't made it.
No. Okay.
That's no problem. Well, it was a great chat. Like, it was lovely having everybody show up.
We're not too bad over either, Dapo. We're only 10 minutes over, which is not bad for us.
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
Not
I
at all.
hope I haven't forgotten or we haven't missed anybody. I think.
No. There'll be other chances to catch the rest of the team in talks and stuff. So yeah, but this was good.
Okay. Well, yes. Thank you as always, Dapo, for your time.
No worries.
You know the score. We'll save it. We'll put it on YouTube. We'll share it.
Yeah.
And tag you in. And I will be talking again soon. I expect maybe we'll ask you to do some more judging.
That was always fun.
That was fun. We should do it again soon.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you everyone for tuning in as well. Thank you for your questions as well. Somebody asked another question about the sunflowers. If you catch this on the Big Draw page, you'll find the answers there. It's all there. All right. Thanks, guys. All right. Take care, Kate. Bye.
Bye, lovely. Bye.